Ryan Wayne is joining me right now on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real good, and thank you for joining me this evening on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go ahead and get started, Ryan. Talk a little bit about yourself and how did your wrestling career got started.
Well, I started training about 6 years ago. Been wrestling on shows for about five, about that. Mostly in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina areas. I was trained by a guy named Skira Corvus. He wrestles for NWA Anarchy, mostly. A guy named Chris Main, who recently just debuted in Chikara. And that's pretty much how I got started. I've just been wrestling around the southeast here last few years, picking up whatever I can.
And do you remember the first match you ever had?
Uh, yeah, it's something I kind of wish to forget sometimes. It was a big gauntlet match. And one that they had a spot in the match where a guy was going to go through a burning table, and the spot didn't quite go so well, and the guy ended up getting set ablaze on fire, and match ended up ending early, but luckily I got to be in there early, and it was definitely something to remember.
And how would you describe your wrestling style?
A little bit of technical, a little bit of power, mostly a lot of thinking, I like to study who I'm going to be working. I go by what they use as a finish, and I work that body part, make sure they can't use it on me. So I try to adapt my style to anybody and everybody.
When it comes to being a character inside the ring, do you like being the baby face or do you like being the heel?
I like being the heel, especially doing from Toronto down here in the South. Easy.
And like you said, you originally from Canada and you live here in North Carolina, and we all know the history of successful wrestlers out there in Canada. You know, like the Hart
Right.
family, Jericho, Christian, Edge, Trish Stratus. The list goes on and on. I mean, what's your take on the success that wrestlers had, coming out of Canada?
Well, the Canadian wrestlers have always been my favorites. Even watching American wrestling, I always was drawn towards the Canadian wrestlers, like guys like Owen Hart, Jericho, and I'm not sure if you're allowed to say it, but Chris Benoit even. So those three were three key guys early in my life that I saw on TV every week, and I was like, I really want to be like those guys. And then I saw them, and then I started wrestling, and I just want to be like those guys. And for those guys to be able to come to America and end up being the best wrestlers, and then to go in Japan, all over Mexico even, and the Canadians are the ones that are the best. I mean, I think that really says something.
You know, I have been hearing the name Chris Benoit as of late, and it's okay. I think any reasonable wrestling fan will remember him for what he done inside the ring. I know people want to bring up his unfortunate ending to his life and everything, but I definitely will remember him for what he done inside the ring. He was a no-nonsense guy in the ring, going out there and handle his business inside the ring. And that's all a wrestling fan wants, pretty much.
Right. Like, hey, I wasn't there that night, so I didn't see it, so I can't judge the guy for what he did there. I mean, the evidence is there, but I didn't see it. I got to take the referee standpoint on this one. I didn't see it. Can't call it.
I mean, that's just what it all boils down to. it's just one of those unsolved mysteries. We're never gonna know what really happened between he and his wife and the kids. So I mean, it just let the man rest in peace,
Right.
and just reflect on what he done inside the ring. Uh, I hear you got a couple of shows coming up, and I want to start off with the Apex Wrestling Presents Resurrection. Talk a little bit about that show and who's your opponent going to be in that show.
I'm not quite sure who I'll be wrestling yet, but basically kind of a new show, a formation of two older shows that used to run in the area of Augusta Wrestling Alliance and Live Wire Wrestling come together to form Apex. And there's new management involved. A new champion is going to be crowned that night. I know me, Wade Adams, Charlie Anarchy, and Jason Gold will be there representing the also appearing group. Darkness will be there, also known as Skira Corvus and Anarchy. The Firemen will be there. Cameron Cade, David Coleman. Not sure. I think Tony Tsunami might be there. Not really sure who else, but they're working on things, getting people in there. So there's really no telling. I'm not sure what the new management has in store for the new title. Hopefully I'll be in that picture, but I guess we'll see when we get there on the 31st. And that's going to be at Alter Egos in Augusta, Georgia.
All right, if you are in the Augusta, Georgia area, go check it out. Apex Wrestling Presents Resurrection. I used to live in Augusta, Georgia. That was last year, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to check out a Augusta wrestling show, AWA for that matter. But for what I hear from some friends that goes to there, it's a very exciting show. So everybody go check it out. Now you're also going to be in a show called Fall Brawl 2. Talk a little bit about that one.
All right, that's going to be in Thompson, Georgia. They did a show last year. Did great down there. Several big-name guys are going to be on this show. Guys known around the country. Some guys like A.R. Fox will be there. You know, he's in Dragon Gate, CZW. Pandora will be there. Jeremy Vane, Adrian Hawkins, Sugar Dunkerton. I know he's in Chikara. Beyond Wrestling. Black Baron. Anthony Henry will be there. I'm also hearing Yuha Nation is going to be there. I'm not quite sure if that's confirmed or not. Wade Adams, myself, David Coleman, Yasir Akbar, Wade Adams, Ken Lee will be there. The Washington Bullets will be there. It's shaping up to be a pretty big show on September 15th in Thompson, Georgia.
I'm looking at the public event page on Facebook, and I see that one of my favorite female wrestlers, Athena, is going to be there as well. That's an exciting show itself, so go check that out. Fall Brawl 2 is the name of the show. It's on Saturday, September 15th. It's going to be taking place over at Thurston, Georgia. So go check it out. And I highly recommend you all support indie pro wrestling. No doubt about it. So my next question for you is, do you remember, like, what do you consider as the biggest highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
I haven't had really that many. Maybe working with Jeremy Vane at APW in Royston, Georgia. That was a pretty big moment for me so far. And I've worked a few shows featuring Tommy Rich, Chick Donovan, Ricky Morton, those those classic guys, they're always great to work with, especially Ricky. But I think so far the biggest moment I've had in the ring is probably wrestling Jeremy Vane.
And who are some wrestlers out there that you haven't had a chance to work with but would like to work with someday?
I would love to work with Colt Cabana, actually. He looks like that would be a very entertaining, fun match to be in. Looks like I can learn some things. Colt Cabana is one of the few American guys that I just look at and I'm like, wow, this guy's great. And I just feel me and Colt Cabana could put on a pretty good match if given a chance.
As a wrestling fan yourself, what's your thoughts on indie pro wrestling, at least from the companies that you've worked for? What's your take on how things are handled in the indie wrestling scene?
I worked in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and it was a really well-organized place. They're bringing in Matt Hardy sometime this month. They're based out of Charlotte. They're called Extreme World Wrestling. And those guys, they're starting to travel more, and that's something I'm starting to see more with indie wrestling promotions. Instead of staying to one venue like I've seen in the past around in the Southeast, like these guys, they are moving from venue to venue to venue to venue, while others, they're staying in the same rented out venue week after week after week with no new scenery. And I think that the scenery helps a lot, because if you have the exact same fans every week, like at TNA actually, I mean, they stay in the Impact Zone every week, it starts to get the same reaction, and you can predict what the crowd's going to do way easier. But the whole unknown of being on the indie scene, going out in front of a crowd, you don't know if people are going to boo you, cheer you, or if you're going to get one of those types of crowds that are nothing but hecklers, or guys who just cheer for the heels just because that's what kind of people they are. You never know what kind of crowd you're going to get. And when you constantly run in the same venue, you get to know those people, and it's like, all right, we know what to expect with these people. We know exactly how to work them. And it starts getting to be kind of boring because you know exactly what to do, and it's like not a challenge anymore. But with what these guys are doing, all different areas, is a new challenge every night, trying to read the fans, and that is what's fun to me, reading the fans, making them react. But I've noticed a lot of places, sponsorship is another thing that's starting to come key that I've noticed in wrestling, especially with the way the economy is, running of the shows. The money's not, attendance has been down a little bit, and people are now having to reach out for sponsors just to make up that lost money. And I mean, I think it's good personally to get sponsors involved, but.
All right, and how can people get in touch with you, learn more from your upcoming events, Facebook, Twitter, or any other links people need to know?
Yes, I am on Facebook, Brian Rain, and I'm on Twitter, the Rain Wizard 39.
All right, everybody check him out on those links. And my last question for you, Ryan, is if you can give anyone advice, anyone out there that wants to pursue their career as a professional wrestler, what would it be?
To get proper training and always listen to what people are telling you. Don't try to backtalk them or disrespect them in any way. Always listen to what they're telling you. There's going to be 5 different people telling you to do 5 different things at once. Try all 5. You never know which one, who's right, who's wrong. There's never a definite right answer for a lot of things. always take what people say. Sometimes you don't have to take it completely to heart, but a lot of times listen to what they're saying. You never know where they've been or how they learned to do it. So always listen and never just straight up dismiss somebody.
For those just... Oh, go ahead.
Unless, of course, unless you met them firsthand and know that they are, of course, greener than you, they've never taken a bump in their life, then, well, of course, but use your better judgment. If they're running a training session, listen to them.
Well said, man. And for those just tuning in, you're listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio at itmiradio.com. You can listen to us on Talk Channel 2. I'm joined with my first guest of the evening, Indy Pro Wrestler Ryan Wayne. And before I let you go, sir, I ask our guests to do this. It's like a station ID, it's like a voice drop. All you have to do is say your name. And right after you say your name, you say you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
I am Ryan Ray, and you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Best of success goes out to you, man. And all I can say is best of success, man. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
You have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye. That was Indy Pro Wrestler Ryan Wayne, all the way from North Carolina, joining me here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.